Good evening. Welcome to the City Council Workshop Special Meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 27th, 2021 at 6 p.m. I call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is the interview planning and zoning applicants. We have 3 applicants. The first one is Jim Savorik. Is that correct? Close enough. Okay. Would you like to go up to the podium and identify yourself, please?
Yeah, Jim Sports, 1102, Carpenter, live here in town.
Is your mic on?
I don't know, is it?
Yeah.
Do you want to press the button on the base?
Oh, there. How does that work? All right.
That's
Jim
good.
Squartz, 1102 East Carpenter, here in Cortez.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Before I moved to Montezuma County in 2004, I was a high school civics and history teacher up in Summit County, the Breckenridge, Dillon area. I lived in Frisco, Colorado, and while there I served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for Frisco for 3 years. Since I've moved down here, I was a board member of the Mancos Chamber of Commerce. I was a member of the Leadership Montezuma group. I was on the board of that as well as taking the class. Most recently, I was on the Montezuma Land Conservancy Board, so I've been involved in a lot of community activities, and even though I've just moved into the city limits within the last 3 years, I've been involved in a lot of things that affect the city and have been here and made comments before the town council several times on a couple different occasions. If there's anything else you'd like to know.
So we have a series of questions we'd like to ask you.
Yeah.
Rachel, would you like to begin?
Okay, Jim, why are you interested in being a participant on the commission?
I'm interested in being a participant on the commission because I believe in having an orderly future, having a structure to look forward to, taking the guesswork out of what the future might bring. Obvious example people always bring, I want to make sure there's not going to be a hog farm opening up next to me and make sure that we're zoned properly. And let me just read something really quickly from the Cortez zoning ordinance. It says, in order to implement the comprehensive plan and other purposes and provisions of this land use code, the city is divided into 8 zoning districts, and among those are residential districts. In order to secure for the persons who reside there a comfortable, healthy, safe, and pleasant environment in which to live, sheltered from incompatible and disruptive activities, and to encourage diversity of housing options. And it goes on through the other zoning areas as well. But yeah, it has some certainty to know what's going on, to plan for the future rather than just step into it haphazardly.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Arlena?
Hello, Jim.
Hi.
What do you think the chief functions of the Planning and Zoning Commission are?
Well, there's 2. There's planning and there's zoning. But the planning is to take a look at what the rules and regs are and anticipate the future needs of the community, and to, like I said earlier, to plan for that and to put in regulations that will be for the safe growth of our community. Also with the zoning is to hear people coming in and making application to build or open a business in the various zones that we have, to hear if they're compatible with the code, and to ascertain whether or not they're working in the right manner that the town wants to move forward.
Thank you.
Orly, would you like to ask a question?
Number 3.
Yeah.
What do you think is one of the biggest planning issues you see facing the city?
Well, given the controversy that happened a couple of years ago with the land use code, I'd say that'd probably be it. If the town is still interested in rewriting the land use code and to move forward on it in the manner that's compatible with the people who live in the town, I think is the biggest thing. Obviously, economics is a big issue, and how we make the town easy for businesses to come into and revitalize Main Street, and P&Z has a little bit to do with that. I know that's your guys' purview mostly, but to make sure that we can grow the town economically, but not too fast and not too big, but to keep it going.
Matt?
Hey, Jim, how are you doing?
Doing fine, Matt.
Great. It's good to see you. This is the really difficult question that they gave me, because I'm the new guy.
Okay.
Planning and zoning meets on the first Tuesday of each month at 6:30, and a second meeting could be called on the third Tuesday of each month if needed. Work sessions are held at 5 p.m. occasionally. Would you have a problem attending the work sessions and meetings?
Well, my answer is going to be yes. For the first one in August, I already have a trip planned to visit my daughter and grandkids in California. But after the one next week, no, I have none at all. I'm single, I have no obligations on Tuesdays, and I'd be happy and willing to come at 5 o'clock.
Jim, do you see any potential conflicts of interest that you might have as part of the Planning and Zoning Committee, and how would you deal with them?
No, I don't see any at all. I'm not in any business. I'm a retired high school teacher. I live on a teacher's pension. I don't have any obligations to anybody for anything. And again, my previous experience on planning and zoning up in Frisco gives me an idea of what I'll be facing here and how to be a straight shooter and go straight down the line without any conflict of interest at all. No.
David, do you have any questions?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
You've answered
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
well.
That's it?
All
right, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jim. See, we're going to listen, or we're going to interview each of the candidates tonight, and then we'll do background checks, and then we'll have our decision in 2 weeks in the next council meeting. So.
How many open spots do we have? One. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's one open spot for P&Z. Okay. Next person. Who's the next? Katrina. Good evening, Katrina. Would you go to the podium and make sure the button is turned, is it green?
Test.
Yes, okay, thank you. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Katrina Weiss. I am your newest State Farm agent in Cortez. The prior agent retired in December, and we opened our agency in January. We actually moved up here last August because I have a senior in high school, and she was a junior at the beginning of last year, so we wanted her to start school at the beginning of the year, so we moved up before we opened the agency. I have been with State Farm for almost 11 years, and prior to that, I was the environmental director for the city of Hobbs. I basically have a lot of experience managing projects as far as condemnation, beautification. We did do some landscaping ordinances that were pretty controversial. I was in oil field country, and a lot of the businesses were not happy about being told how they have to landscape in a certain percentage. So there was a great balance of keeping citizens happy, but yet still doing what we had to do as a city. I also was the grant writer and administrator for Hobbs Beautiful. It's like a subsidiary of America Beautiful, Keep America Beautiful. So we did beautification, litter, mediation, and that sort of thing, so that we could get the city to where people did want to come and open businesses. It was also hard to balance the industrial with the aesthetics that the Hobbs Beautiful was trying to achieve. So it was fun, it was very educational, and throughout that experience, I really did develop a passion for finding funds to help cities grow in a responsible but also aesthetically pleasing way, and being able to balance that with not being too intrusive on citizens or business owners. Let's see what else. I have 3 daughters. I've been married for almost 30 years. I have a master's degree. I have a couple of different designations, and I do investment advising as well. That's about it for me.
Thank you. Rachel?
Okay, thank you for being here. Why are you interested in being a participant on this commission?
So we plan to be here a long time. I'm 51 years old, so I don't plan to change careers again. And so I would like to see healthy economic growth that, as the gentleman before me said, that is done in a responsible and manageable way. I think the culture here is really just very endearing to me, and I would like to see that also remain while the growth happens. I love the farming and the small town. I love having a 5-minute commute to work. So my passion is to help the city grow, but do it in a way that's manageable and will maintain the integrity of what Cortez is like now. That's what drew us to move here. Obviously, I'm a business owner, and I would like to see more businesses come in and revitalize the downtown area.
What do you think is the chief function of planning and zoning commissions are?
So, in addition to obviously determining healthy and responsible areas of town that should be zoned commercial versus residential, I also think that committee probably has a unique effect on where the growth happens, how quickly the growth happens, maybe even how to find the funds to help the growth happen. I would see it as more than just a committee that has to approve things, but also maybe even initiate some things and work with citizens to help get more community buy-in to growth and zoning of the community.
What do you think is the biggest planning issue facing the city at the moment?
Well, seeing as I've only been here since last August, just from my personal view, I feel like there's a lot of buildings that are almost even dangerous that maybe should be looked at, and how to remediate that without the city having to spend all their funds doing that. Some of them look beyond redemption, basically, and so I think looking into that would be a good way to kind of supplement growth by also clearing some things out.
Yeah. Thanks for stepping up, Katrina.
Yes.
My question is, planning and zoning meets on the first Tuesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. and a second meeting could be called on the third Tuesday of each month if needed. Work sessions are held at 5 o'clock p.m. occasionally. Would you have a problem attending these work sessions and meetings?
No, we are open till 6, but thankfully I've just hired another person, so we're finally getting to where I have enough people where I could step away.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up. Do you see any potential conflicts of interest in with you being on planning and zoning, and if there were one to come up, how would you deal with it?
So I don't think so. Other than my business downtown as an insurance agent, I don't have any real estate development or anything like that. I would abstain if we voted, if it had something to do directly with my industry or my block where my business is at 215 East Main. But I don't see it being an issue, and I don't have a problem abstaining if it even appeared to be an issue. Okay, thank you.
Next interviewee would be Ralston. Good evening, Alan. Will you go to the podium and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
name's Alan Ralston. I live at 1706 Rampart Street. I've been a resident for 4 years in Cortez, and before that, I've been in Colorado for the last 20 years. Let's see, what else? I have 3 children. My wife had 3, so we have 10 grandkids scattered all over, and kids all over. I was educated at the University of Montana, and I've had experience on city councils and as a public works director in Montana, so I'm familiar with building codes and things like that. And I was on planning and zoning in Mancos, so I was on the city council there. Yeah. Better? Well, I just happened to be researching the comprehensive plan. There's a quote from George Bernard Shaw. He said, "I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live in it, it is my privilege to do for it what I can, whatever I can." So that's kind of the summation for me, I think, the mission statement or whatever.
Alan, what do you think the chief functions of Planning and Zoning Commission are?
I imagine to evaluate proposals for development, like real estate, development of lots, or building permits, or any kind of change to the, well, what would you call it, to the residential code, or any, I can't remember the exact word, but anyway, to look at, review those things and approve them or disapprove them based on the facts of the case.
Alan, what do you think is the biggest planning issue facing the city currently?
I think one of them for me would be, we've got a lot of vacant spaces in town, and how to infill them to utilize our current infrastructure would be one. I don't know if that's the biggest one, but that's one I see a lot, that we have all the space, and now it looks like there's some climate migration or whatever you want to call it, and I think we'll get our share of that. So I think we should be looking at that ahead of time. No, wouldn't. It might interfere with my monthly trip to Wild Edge Brewing or something like that, but I can postpone that. Yeah.
Thanks for stepping up. Do you see any conflicts of interest that you may have to be part of the planning and zoning, and if one came up, how would you deal with it?
I don't foresee any right now, but if there was one, I'd recuse myself from any of that decisions. Seems like the right thing to do. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is a review of the city's master street plan. City planner Tracy Hughes. Good evening, Tracy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Neva's going to get some visuals for you guys up on the screen. So just a little overview of kind of how we got to where we are today. That's okay. So the Master Street Plan is a long-range planning document, and it falls under the Comprehensive Plan umbrella. It is an addendum to the comprehensive plan. The current master street plan was last updated in 1999 and is a standalone companion to the comprehensive plan. Historically, we've used the plan when reviewing county subdivisions, and that policy was that, we would authorize the chair to sign the plat stating that the project was in conformance with the master plan, the master street plan. And so when this kind of came back on the table to update the master street plan, we wanted to kind of put the policy that we'd been using into writing. And so that's a lot of what you see in this policy companion document to the map. And the current map was reviewed by Planning and Zoning in December of 2020. Not the current map, but a version of the current map. And so that's kind of when this all really got kicked into high gear. That draft was taken to county staff and to the County Planning Commission that winter. And then we held 2 public meetings by Zoom in February to get feedback from the public on that initial map, which went all the way out to the 3-mile area. The public expressed concern for a County Road G truck route that was shown on that map, and there was concern that the alignments would not be buildable across major drainages, and that the alignments were set in stone, kind of in this like grid pattern. There was concern that, the property owners would be impacted by the plan, that there would be condemnation of land. And staff kind of explained at that time that the plan was typically applied when a landowner pursued development. So as a result of that increased use of the land as a result of a subdivision that would propose the need for new streets, that's the time that the right-of-way would be requested. And there was concern that any type of development would trigger the requirement to construct a road or provide right-of-way. So based on that feedback, and then also the results of a Planning and Zoning Commission workshop where they sat down and kind of really whittled down that 3-mile plan to something more with a reduced buffer, reduced boundary. The plan and the map and the policies in the text were refined, and the County Road G truck route was removed. And the plan boundary was reduced to incorporate geographic constraints such as McElmo and Hartman Draw. And several policies were incorporated to address some of those concerns. And just real briefly, I'll talk about those. It was clarified that requests for right-of-way would be based on the impact of the proposed development. Within the city, right-of-way would be expected to follow the master street plan for site plans and subdivisions. And within the boundary of the plan map, moderate and major impact subdivisions, and those are categories in the county's land use code, they would be reviewed by P&Z and right-of-way may be requested. Minor impact would be reviewed but not required to provide right-of-way. So we wanted to clarify for people that if you're doing a lot split, we're not going to ask you for 80 feet of right-of-way. And so then outside of the plan boundary, but within the 3-mile area, staff is authorized to review and have the chair sign per the resolution that would approve this whole plan. So that way that, all the plats will consistently have a signature block that it meets the requirements of the master street plan. And the reason for that is because outside of that plan boundary, we don't have any street alignment, so it's in conformance with the plan. There's no reason to make the folks wait a month to go to the Planning Commission meeting. So in the spring, Planning and Zoning asked staff to hold more outreach, and a Zoom meeting was held in May, and then 2 open houses were held in June. And we had some attendance by the public, and there was some interest in the plan, but no formal comments were taken as a result of these meetings. We also have a website, and there's an online form for comments and an email for the plan, and so we have not been getting any comments sent through those channels since kind of early on back in March. So with the exception of inquiries about bike lanes, in which this plan is a standalone master street plan, and bike route policies would be better addressed by a multimodal or transportation plan. So that kind of was discussed. So at this point, the map and the policy text have received only technical changes kind of since P&Z revised it. So we have been tweaking, are we using capitals correctly, and have we cited the state statutes correctly? So changes like that are still kind of happening right up until we adopt it, I'll guess. And then, maybe changing some colors on the map, but the real contents aren't changing. And so P&Z was highly engaged in the development of this plan, and they've been really giving us direction all along the way, and we've kind of fulfilled their requests for the public meetings. And so next week, it is going to the Planning Commission for adoption, and the Planning Commission has the authority to adopt master plans per the state statutes. So that is within their authority. And that's all I have. If you guys have any questions. I brought you this. You're welcome. All right.
Mayor, it looks like he's out in the hall, and it looks like some of his staff have shown up, so Phil's gone out to get him. Do you want him just to come up here? Yeah. Yeah, come out. You guys can all just come out front here. Well, I think we're running a couple minutes ahead, so there probably will be more migrating in as we go. So we'll let this group come in here. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, if everybody can just come up to the front there. Well, I don't know if we just want to, do you want to introduce them just as a group as a whole, or just each individual? How would you like that, Counsel? Okay, so if I could have each one of you, maybe starting from the far end, just stand up and say who your name is, and we all know you're the lifeguards primarily, so if you could, everybody stand up and just give your name. No, that's good. That's good. And I just want to say a couple words, because this has been a very challenging season, and with where we started the first part of May and the circumstances that we were under, and I don't know that I want to give too much specifics, but we really just had situations that were unforeseen that you couldn't control. And I would like right now Ivana Kibble to stand up. She was the gal that filled in when we had a void in the aquatics, and she's done a tremendous job leading this crew from the first part of May forward. And I just am very grateful of all the efforts that she's made, and as well as the other lifeguards, in getting our outdoor pool open, keeping the indoor pool going. It's a lot of hours and responsibility, and it's the public safety. So I would just, if the council could give a round of applause for this group. Well, depending on how much, is allowed up front, it takes at least 2, if not 3 days of pretty intense training that the lifeguards have to go through. And we were short a lifeguard trainer, so some of them got trained up in Durango, others got trained down in Farmington, another group got trained by a consultant that came into Cortez. So it's for the most part 2, if not 3 solid days of training that they go through.
Any other questions from council?
Just want to say thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate your stepping forward to do this important job. My daughter was a lifeguard at the city pools back in the day, and she just loved that, and we look forward to having you serve our public in the pool areas, and just thank you very much for being part of our community. Thank you very much, folks.
I just want to say, too, that this is one of the youngest groups we've ever had, and I think a lot of lifeguard or a lot of municipalities and whatnot have been under the same boat of retraining a bunch of new lifeguards. And from my observations, they're a very good group for as young as they are and not having the experience that we typically have. They've just done a phenomenal job. So again, very much appreciation all the efforts you've made to get our swimming pool open, and many children and adults as well have benefited from that. So thank you so much.
All righty. Well, thank you all for coming tonight and introducing yourself. And it's a pleasure meeting you all, and looking forward to a pleasurable summer lifeguarding. Thank you. Okay. See, the next item on our agenda is a general council discussion.
I have something, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So I will not be here in the month of August for either meeting days. So I'm just letting y'all know, but I will try to log in to the live work session for the Tabor training that City Manager Sanders has so diligently worked for us to have. And if I have any comments, I'll just submit those in writing regarding any of our meetings. So, thank you.
You'd be missed. Okay, any other council items for discussion? If not, we'll adjourn till the regular session at 7:15. Thank you.